Okay. So in one and two and one, two, three. Okay. So once again, welcome everyone. I'm very glad to introduce another person who is joining me in this, like conversation about data engineering and how he got into data engineering field and sort of like share his story. So welcome, Godson. It's great to have you, here. It's a very beautiful name, and I wasn't able to find anything about you. So if you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself, that would be great.
Oh, thank you so much. Nice to meet you as well. And I'm very happy to do this. Very eager to, share as much as I can to help someone out there that want to get into the field. And should I start talking more about myself?
Sorry,
Uh,
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
should I? All right. So, just finished my master's in data science. That was last month. Currently working as a data engineer. My first, my first data role. It's been interesting, and and I believe going forward through third interview,
And I lost you, or I lost myself. Shoot.
we'll have. I'm ready to get into um, more details. Yeah, but that's a bit about myself.
Yeah. So I lost you for a second. So, but anyways,
Okay,
sorry.
where did you
I don't know. Somewhere between. I think it's possible my internet isn't great today, but we'll see. So if like if connection will be very unstable, we can sort of like like pause and look into that. So don't worry about that. Anyway, so I think like before us go a little bit deeper, more into knowing you a little bit more, I want to start by coffee or tea.
for me coffee?
Why is that?
Uh, why is that? I like that. I think because it keeps me awake. It
Mm,
keeps me very active.
okay.
Yeah, I like my coffee very hot.
Okay. How do you
So
like?
when I'm yeah, go ahead.
I actually wanted to ask. So, how do you have your coffee? Is it like milk and sugar, or just like roasted black?
No sugar. Milk, milk, but no sugar.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. So you like your coffee a little bit, like reduce the density, right? And do you drink like
Yeah.
like a big cup of coffee, or is it just like sort of like Italian style, shots?
I think every morning, maybe before I leave for work, I take my coffee. So you can take it daily then.
Okay. Okay. And so, by the way, for those who doesn't know, you're joining us from across the pond, as we in US like to say here. So you yourself live in UK, right? Like, can you share a little bit more
Yeah.
on that?
Oh, I live in the bubbly town, London.
Okay.
Always busy. Lovely people, and nice environments. Just the weather sometimes it's
Hmm.
quite funny. Just the weather sometimes is quite funny, and I enjoy going to the park a lot.
Oh,
So with my headphone and listen to some data podcasts and watch the dogs run around and all that. It's a very cool environment. Yeah.
wow. So you like also like listening for the data podcast and other things. So like you really, really into the field, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
love it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. So, can you walk me through a little bit, like your journey into data engineering? Because I lost your profile. Ugh, how unprofessional
All
of
right.
me. So, because
So
so if I just may, right? So, like you finish university, you know, back in 2016, right? And then in the South Wales, you finish, like the masters in data science and sort of like data science and stuff like that. But now you're doing into data engineering. So this is the shift which I'm mentioning to you. It's kind of like, you know, we kind of joke locally that there is like three guilds of the data analysts, data scientists, data engineers. And like no one likes
Yeah.
data scientists. So so tell me a little
So
bit more about how did you end up being, like inside the data engineering?
all right. So I will try to make the background a bit short so
No,
I
no,
get
no.
into
Don't
the
make
whole.
it short. We have a lot of time. So.
All right. So my undergraduate was in computer science, and I had the opportunity to do more of the foundational knowledge on in programming, database management, um, hardware infrastructures and all that. Had those basic foundational knowledge. And in computer science, you get taught a lot of information, a lot of topics. So I found database interesting because I think that was what I could relate to. Because my mom is a nurse, and so she works in a hospital, and so I spend most of my time in the hospital, and I see how they take records of patients that come into the hospital, and I probably give them appointment tickets or appointment numbers and record this on their Excel.
Mm-hmm.
And I always love to stay close to that particular department because I don't know why I just found it fascinating. But I always want to go to that department and see how they are always,
Mm-hmm.
using the keyboard so
Yeah, yeah.
fast. So yeah, my undergraduate was in computer science, and after that, I went for a very short internship, like kind of a training
Mm-hmm.
on database. That was Oracle
Mm-hmm.
database. That was back then, I think that was 2015. Oh, sorry, it was 2017. Yeah, did Oracle database training, but that was just a training, and got the certifications that was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think I got the I think is it the foundational. I can't remember, but I'll just check and confirm. I I got the certification. I also got the Java Oracle certification as well. I was just trying to know what I want to do. Should I go into programming, the whole software development, or should I go into database?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I didn't have the right, will I use the word mentor
Mm-hmm.
or someone that's already working in the field that could say, okay, this is what you could do. Or I was just going by, or I use the word passion, I guess. Then after that, I started doing mostly personal learning. Started doing my work. I was working in the hospital, like kind of a secretary, IT secretary kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So just doing that, getting my hands, dirty with the whole booking tickets, getting records, working in IT department, fixing network, router, switches, those basic infrastructure stuff. Then spent most of my time there. Then moved to the UK for my masters. How did that master's come about? So I felt that okay, I've had a bit of experience, but I wanted to know what next. So I had this interest in blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I have a whole lot of jumping up and down. So I had experience with blockchain as well. I kind of liked how that's that's what's that word about blockchain that that's fact that fact that data can't be it can't be what's the word mm, when I
Well,
use the word duplicated.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
When I use the word duplicate, so there's this key, one of the key terms for blockchain and all that. So I got fascinated that how is it possible? Of course, I could copy data, I could use it from where I was working, but this time around, um, I was using blockchain. You're probably doing the whole crypto whatever, and saw how fascinating it was, the buzzwords and everything. And I'm like, I want to go deep into it. If you go into my LinkedIn, you'll see that I have majority of blockchain posts right from 2019 to 2020. I haven't launched a book on that yet. But
Wow.
I wanted to go further. I wanted to like know what's the neat about it. Then the AI hype
Mm-hmm.
came about. I also had an interest. I also found that fascinating as well. So I think the whole new technology case started popping up, and I'm like, okay, no, I need to go and do a master's and just see what's in it, what's all of this all about. So coming to the UK, did my master's in data science and saw that this whole technology, everything was still all under data science. The whole AI, the whole data engineering. That was even when I got to know about data engineering. That was even when I got to know the first word data engineering. But got to know about AI, about data, about business analytics, about visualizations, all those kind of stuff. So while I was doing my master's, I suddenly bumped into an internship.
Mm-hmm.
It's correct. So, no, sorry, a boot camp
Mm-hmm.
from Twitter. So I enrolled. So the first stage was a 4 weeks Python course.
Mm-hmm.
So we're being taught on the basics of Python, the Python for data engineering, and after that, at the end of the 4 weeks, I think we were about, I think, uh 90 something, and after that we had a kind of a practical interview, and they saved after the 94. I think they saved we were remaining. I think it was 10, no, 7 of us. Yeah, seven. Sorry. So we're the one that passed through the practical Python interview, and we started the whole data engineering um, boot camp. So it was a 24 weeks class.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want me to, go into the whole what we learned in the whole 24 weeks, just let me know. But for my own background, that's just me.
Got it, got it. So I guess the question which I have, so you did manage to reach your dream. You did manage to work in the hospital and actually type things in, right? Like what you looked as a kid as you
Yeah,
enjoyed. So you did that,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
you reached the dream and you're like, yeah, it's okay. I should do something more than that, right?
yeah,
Yeah, okay, got it. So okay, so my kind of like, like the next question which I was prepared, sort of like kind of like what, like pushed you to, like motivated to get into field, but you kind of already answered with those things, like you're interested in the technology, interested in all of the new things and sort of, like these things. And it's just like you got into the, like in the data science. Now,
yeah.
when did you realize that data scientists cannot work without data engineers, that someone needs to bring the data? Like, when was this realization? Because I heard the following term: the data scientists, when they study in school, they always have, like data sets ready for them, because they only are practicing on doing science, understanding statistics, understanding, all of those things. But the moment they start working, the first question is like, where is the data of the science to do? And like suddenly like, oh, I need to get the data myself. So the question is, like, when did you realize that, oh, there is this data engineering which does a little bit different things? And sort of like, what's your, like, do you have anything to share from there?
Yeah, I think that was the advantage I had. I would say I had mentors. So the trainers,
Mm-hmm.
the organizers of the 24 boot camp. Um, while I was studying, in the beginning section of my data science course, like I said, I didn't really know data engineering. I understood that okay, you have to go through cleaning, go through modeling and all this kind of stuff. But the boot camp exposed me. So during the boot camp, we were told that there is a huge hyper data scientist using models or algorithms, prediction, and all that AI. But all these departments or all these topics won't actually mean anything if the data is not right. And if the data is not cleaned enough, or will I use the word, if it is not ready for use, and there is kind of a limited number of people that are in this field in that are getting the data from the source, from the raw source, and transform it in a way that a data analyst could use it, a data scientist could use it, a machine learning engineer can use it, even the stakeholders can make sense of it. But so they were the one that taught us that okay, this is actually the roots. This
Mm-hmm.
is the the main thing that we need to focus on. That so I think they were the one that gave me that perspective. I didn't really learn it from the school
Got
or
it.
learn it on my own. So from their experience, they told us that.
Okay,
So
that's
optimistic.
yeah, that's kind of makes sense. But you still, I think, like you're studying the data science, and now you're joining
Yeah.
this boot camp, and you're hearing about this data engineering. That's what's like sort of like brings the different value. How did you decide to actually switch, like from the data science to the data engineering, or is just like like whatever type of the work was offered, and then eventually you still think of getting back to the data science eventually?
All right. Thank you. So the boot camp was a summer boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't really affect my studies.
Okay.
All right. So I was, of course, doing my course, ensuring that I get the best of grades,
Mm-hmm.
and learning the whole data science and all that. But because I was doing that boot camp, so the boot camp wasn't strictly only on data engineering.
Okay.
So it was kind of a roadmap from the basic
Mm-hmm.
through data engineering, then a bit of machine learning
Okay.
in this. So the school was teaching us on the data science aspect of it, um, in their own um, um, way.
Mm-hmm.
The boot camp was also teaching me the basics that I believe I needed, and the real world practical experience, because these are people that have worked in the field for 7 to 8 years, 9 years in big firms.
Mm-hmm.
So they were giving us the basic knowledge of the whole data engineering. And for me, I think that was an advantage because I was merging the both knowledge and seeing that, okay, I need data engineering first to push further the data science. The data science, of course, can come around anytime because it's just more about using models
Mm-hmm.
with the right data and making sense of it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think I get it.
Yeah.
We'll get back to this. I still will have some more questions about, like I'm still trying to figure out, are you the data engineer or data scientist? So I hope.
I feel so. From my understanding so far, I think for you to be a good data scientist or a good data analyst, I don't know. I feel like I need to go through the roots.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the roots? I mean, getting to get my data from the raw source, build the right pipeline to ensure that okay, my data is ready and this is where it's gonna be for further analysis. That's why for me, I feel like this is where I want to be for now. Get to learn the whole nitty gritty of it before. I've done a bit of data science projects while in school,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that if I get into that with the knowledge I have now in engineering, I could push that further. Yeah.
Understood. Okay. So basically just understood. You think and please correct me. So if I understood correctly, your position is that I want to get into data engineering because this is the first step in the data, and then like I will want to see what will be there, and then from the data engineering you can grow into data analyst or data scientist, or just like stay at the data engineering, which is it's also like a thing to do. Anyways, there is a bunch of other things you can work on, the like data quality, you can work on like the improving your pipelines, on the architecture and things like that. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay, so what skills do you believe are the most critical for someone starting a data engineering today?
Okay, so the skills I believe are key important is, first of all, I would want to use SQL first or Python first, but I think I'll first start with Python.
Mm-hmm.
I'll first start with Python, then the SQL, then you need the SQL skill,
Mm-hmm.
and you need a cloud computing skill, maybe either on AWS or Microsoft or GCP. And um, I think you also need Python, SQL, cloud computing. I think you also need the infrastructure knowledge. Not you don't have to know everything about it, but it's actually very important anyway. They how to use most of the infrastructure tools that maybe these cloud services provide as well. Because as a data engineer, you might be migrating database from on-prem to also the cloud. So you need to know probably the servers, the bit of the networks, the database instances and all that. So whenever I see you smile, I hope I'm making sense. I don't
No,
know.
no, no. You make it total sense. The reason why I'm smiling is the following: is that your answer is accurate, and your answer is your answer. It's what you have experienced and what you believe,
Exactly.
and this is totally fine, and I accept that. It's just I heard so many different answers through the years. What do you need? And I think the reason for that, when I asked like, what does the data engineer is needed, we do not agree. What does it mean, a data engineer? What level it is? Is it junior? Is it medium? Is it senior? Like,
Yeah.
like for the software engineer, it's simple, right? We'd have a software engineer, which we assume the software engineer, it's someone not a junior. He kind of has some knowledge. He can write code, but he's definitely not a senior software engineer, right? And then you have a
Yeah.
junior software engineer, senior software engineer, software architect, principal architect, or different levels. And then you have a
Yeah.
data engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like where it is, right? And like in my opinion, if you are a person who starts data engineering, you should be able to nail the job where you have Python and SQL and nothing more. You should be able
True.
to, like I hope.
True.
But then as you
True.
grow, you basically need to learn all of those things around, and it's just like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, the key will I use the word programming skills that you need for, of course, your day-to-day activities is mostly the the Python to build the pipelines and all that, and the SQL to discuss, or I use the word discuss with your data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like to talk to your data,
Yeah, yeah,
understand.
yeah, yeah.
Of course, that's the key stuff. But like you said, maybe depending on where you're working, if you're working with a startup that they want you to orchestrate the whole everything from the basic to like you are the whole both. You're the only data engineer.
Yeah, yeah, you're the data department.
Yeah, only the data department, and you might have that thing to like know that um infrastructure instances,
Yes.
SQL, hosting on a database or in a cloud or on-prem, those kind of stuff. So I think these are things. So I feel like you need to expose yourself to learning. Yeah.
Got it. So I in your LinkedIn, there was a couple certificates which you have,
Yeah.
and like, do you think, would you recommend them to others?
So These are the certifications I did during this 24 weeks bootcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bootcamp, yeah. And for every week,
Mm-hmm.
we get assigned a particular course,
Mm-hmm.
and this course at the end of the week it has a certification
Mm-hmm.
that we can share. So that was so these are the certifications that I'm sharing. So
Understood.
I
I
believe
get.
it's
I guess my question is it's just like, did anyone look at your CV says like, oh, you have a certificate? That's amazing.
okay. So no, I
But
don't know. So
but I still believe this is important. I mean, I'm sorry about this. It's a bad joke, but
yeah,
I still
yeah,
believe any way you get knowledge is a good way.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. So 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 of course, different people, different ways of teaching and different ways of learning. And I'm not a recruiter. I don't know if maybe the certifications is of interest to them,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, I learned a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm coming from the basics. I don't know nothing about that engineering, and these courses is I actually wrote it down. Give me a minute. Let me just call it out. Uh, so it's Python for data engineering on Coursera,
Mm-hmm.
and other one is uh, data engineering. Sorry, Google Cloud Professional Data Engineering Certification um, um, course as well. So these two courses has their own subtopic, like
Mm-hmm.
sub certification under it. But these are the two main courses. In case you don't want to check it out, but these two gave me that. Will I use the word that foundational overview of the whole data engineering field and what to do about it. Yeah.
Understood. Understood. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about like finding your first job, right? So I guess and the question like would be just like, okay, so can you walk me through a little bit of the like the actual process, like how did you like find this company, like what's the like the idea there. If you want, you can share like what the company is doing, what you are doing in the company, so anything like that.
All right. So, the company I work for, they are more focused on the e-learning platform,
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of the ones a platform where um, people like me
Mm-hmm.
or experts as well, could come into the platform, um, practice on data engineering simulated projects or machine learning simulated projects, and they will get an on they'll get a real world experience from completing those tasks. Even recruiters can also send their candidates to the platform to probably go and take some
Mm-hmm.
tests. So I think just like Turing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what the platform is all about. And my role in the platform, what I'm doing, I'm the data engineer. So funny, funny, funny enough, I'm the one building the whole simulation, the data engineering pipeline. So what I have to do every week, I have to go deep down into YouTube, anywhere online to study more about pipelines and the sort of pipelines that are in different industries, try to build them on the try to like build them on using the Google Cloud services. And after building them, I would kind of um, build a simulation, like document a simulation where someone could follow the same steps and achieve the same
Mm-hmm.
results. You understand? So that's particularly what I did. I do every day. So that's my work. And how did I get the job? So after the internship, and we had got the Google Professional Data Engineering certification. after a couple of months, the company that trained us
Mm-hmm.
kind of reached out to me and said that they want to employ me. So that was just how I got a job, honestly. But before then, I did like a couple of interviews, about 3 interviews, and I documented the whole questions and what I was asked in case you want to ask about that. But that was just how I got the job. So yeah.
Yes, I
So
want to
so
ask.
Eddie,
I
yeah.
want to ask about that. So, like in the other interviews which you had in the past, so what was the questions, like, or what was the things they were asking? If you could share that I think would be very interesting.
All right. So I wrote it down. Give me a minute. Let
Yeah,
me just
take your
open it.
time.
Kind of long questions. So first of all, you'll be given a pipeline scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Should I share it to our chat?
No,
All right.
because then we'll break my video recording stuff. So just you don't need to go too
Yeah.
much into details. I think what I'm trying
All
to
right.
understand from like from the job search is sort of like what type of technology
Question.
is sort of like mainly asked about, right? Like what is it again? Like is it coding? Is it SQL? Is it data modeling? Is it
Yeah.
Spark? Is it like what type of of the things the
Okay.
companies are asking?
So in terms of summary, and they would want to. So first of all, they will send you be, before the interview, you be sent a kind of a uh, pipeline implementation task.
So kind of like a homework,
Uh,
right?
kind of a homework, yeah, and,
Mm-hmm.
and ask you to document how this pipe. I kind of lost your picture. Can you still hear me?
Now I can see her. So I lost you. Like you would be getting sent a document of how you would implement a pipeline.
Yeah, of kind of a pipeline task, and ask you to, okay, you need to um, present how you implement this. Probably maybe the senior data engineer sent you a transformation script and asked you to do some tasks, and how would you implement this? How would you do your data quality checks? How would you automate this? And those kind of, and what kind of tool will you use?
Mm-hmm.
If you're asked to complete a particular data, maybe a data is not yet complete, and ask you, okay, how will you outsource
Mm-hmm.
for the data points to enrich this data? Will you use an API? This kind of stuff. Build, just give us that document and come and present it. So now that's one. Then coming to the interview, uh, trying to find the right way to summarize it, because I wrote down most of the question, but let me just summarize the kind of questions you were asked. So you could be asked maybe what frameworks or libraries or cloud technologies would you use to build a pipeline? And that's from this scenario that you have been given. And they also ask you, how would you handle corrupted data, maybe within a CSV, doing processing. And what else again? Let me go.
This is very interesting of what you're saying. So I kind of like hearing that you are not searching for the entry level job. Like all of these things, it's kind of like it's a little bit. You don't think so? You still believe that's the entry level jobs? because
Mm,
because very the reason why I'm saying that, very often, like what you could be able to do, you could be able to join the company and it says like, look, we have this data warehouse, this is where all our data is, and now like the data analyst or data scientist needs to access this data, and what your job is to write a query where you move data from A to B, and then you take this query and you deploy that in some sort of like an ETL framework, and now the data is running. So not even doing any API calls. You're not even doing, like any other things. Like your data is already in your data warehouse. You're just moving it from like one stage to another by enriching that.
So I believe this is what is expected of you in the day-to-day job. That's fine. But I feel, I don't know why, I don't know, but interviews are kind of a bit
Oh, yeah.
different. So they ask all these questions for um of course it will be written in the job description and this is
Yeah.
what they expect of you. Or they want you to know more about it. I wouldn't know, but maybe that's why I didn't get most of the roles. Maybe they want a senior person or someone that has maybe years of experience, but these are the kind of questions that I'm being asked. Maybe how do you ensure security in a pipeline? What's different between maybe cross join, left join, inner join? What's like the one you did in your last video on the interview? Maybe explain data warehouse and data lake and other stuff. How do you guarantee data quality and consistency in a database? Tell me about data warehouse and discuss method of maintaining them effectively and
I hear
a
you.
whole lot of it. A whole
So
lot of it.
this is very interesting because like I know answer to all of those,
Yeah.
which industry is expecting to have, but then
Yeah.
now I can say that all of that doesn't matter because on every situation, every problem is resolved uniquely. Because like for example, you can say like, oh, how do you deal with like corrupted data? It depends like what type of the data it is. Like, does it worth being like fixed? Do we have how to fix that? In my career, very often what we did, we said like, yeah, F it, we'll have a better data in the future, and we just move on. In some cases, because when you need to write an invoices to the to the customers, then you would say like, okay, we need to figure out where we can get a data, and then like you said like, oh, I know we have this other system which kind of has the same thing in there. Maybe we can kind of get the data out from there and just sort of like doing this sort of thing. So it's just like yeah, it's just interesting. It's just interesting. I don't know, like yeah.
And I like the fact because one, you are coming from you've experienced this firsthand, and so I don't know if it's because I don't have that experience. Understand? Like I said, I did these interviews before I got my role,
Mm-hmm.
so I was just talking or answering my question based on
Yeah.
my whole head knowledge. Understand? And 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 from everything you just said now, I'll be honest, most of these questions, I don't see uh, a point in it. I would say, okay, maybe giving me the pipeline scenario and I should come and present how I would do it. I think, of course, that's not bad, you
That's a
understand?
good
But
I mean, that's a good question. This kind of shows like, do you know the technologies,
yeah,
what is behind them? But then at the end of the
exactly.
day, you're basically learning the keywords.
Yeah,
So what,
exactly.
but if the like if I don't know, like if your Kafka cluster goes down, so that the Kafka cluster goes down, so what about it? Like, that's it, it's down. Like, you cannot do anything about
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's I don't know, like it's yeah, it's okay. Now, look, okay, let's interviews are stressful. I know that for the fact, right? So
Gives me so much anxiety.
yes, yeah, exactly. So okay, let's get back to the company which you're working right now, and the question which I wanted to ask. So well, this is not really because you did work, like as a IT engineer, like back home in the hospital and stuff like that. And now you sort of like to join the data engineering company, working as a data engineer. You studied as a data scientist. You just, like from the boot camp. Like, did you notice a difference between what you would expect that the job will be and what you're actually doing? Like, was this something what surprised you, like in the work environment? Like, did you like this? Maybe you were disappointed, or you maybe were very like, wow, that's amazing. I wasn't expecting that.
So, did I expect anything different? Um, so I didn't really understand the cloud so much.
Mm-hmm.
So where I was working back then in Nigeria, it was mostly on-prem.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I didn't really see the importance of pushing into the cloud and how it's been done. I know that we buy storage a lot and we buy these whole servers and cooling fans a lot back then. And I'm like, okay, probably as we buy more, we keep allocating more space and all that. But this whole data engineering, yes, and the whole, okay, like you asked, was it different? Was it a different practical work experience? Of course, it is because now I could now imagine what um if I want to scale
Mm-hmm.
where I worked before, what I could do better to help them, make the best of the data they have, just to help them come into the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Help them because by then they will reduce costs, reduce some cost, and be able to use the cloud services to understand their data properly
Yeah.
and probably build other stuff. So this is what I saw that was different from what I knew before. I didn't know about this whole cloud and getting to the cloud and all the stuff. So I didn't know
So
that before.
I will tell you a fun thing. So I'm actually now we having a conversation, and basically, we with the friends discussing is how bad move to cloud actually is, and how and what should be the process for us to get back from the cloud into on-prem.
Why?
Because
So my question of is right.
because the cloud is so much more expensive, so much more expensive. The technology have changed. Like back in the day, you would need to buy the hardware every 3 years and it would not work for a longer time. Now the hardware works for 5 to 10 years, so you don't really like, so your investments on the hardware is much, it's better than it was before. And it's, I don't know. It's a different topic, and we can talk about that sometime otherwise. But it's
Of
just
course
like,
I will.
but it's just like very interesting, like this the shift is, like, because what what cloud gives to us is what was very very convenient is the unlimited storage with the S3 object store, right? So you have this barely unlimited storage into which you could push all the
Yeah,
data, and then you run,
yeah.
like compute on all of that. But yeah, compute is expensive. Storage may be cheap, but the compute is expensive. But it's still, yeah, okay. Anyways,
Well, okay, go ahead. But
yeah,
I want what about the old the will I use the word auto scaling?
yeah,
Yeah, where sometimes if you don't use the compute service, it just gets shut down.
yeah.
If you want it, it gets started. But I feel that's also an advantage, right? Oh, don't worry, maybe
No, no, no.
it's a different
It's
topic later. Don't
no,
worry,
no, 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 no,
we'll
no,
get back
no,
to
no.
that
You,
later.
no, you're absolutely right, right? So if you take, like, so the problem is that price per hour to run a node is not equivalent when you're counting on-prem and in cloud, right? So
That's
the
right.
price of running a CPU in cloud, if let's say it's, like, I don't know the exact prices, so please
Yeah,
don't count
yeah,
accountable for that. It's something like 8 cents per hour to run a CPU plus a couple gigabytes of RAM.
yeah,
It's a couple cents per hour to run, like to run your on-prem machine. You buy it, you pay like thousands of dollars, but then you pay for the electricity it uses. But if you
yeah.
expand that through the day, it's basically would be, like maybe a couple cents per hour. And it's just like it's yeah, it's very very different. So basically, and then you're getting like much more power and things like that. So I remember, like, I was speaking with one of our operation people, and I said, like, hey, how much this CPU? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I know how much the machine is, and the machine has like, like 200 CPUs, like a couple terabytes of memory. And he's like, I can say that. And then he told me the price was like, oh my God, like this is just like so cheap. So yes, so scaling up and scaling down is important because you are in the cloud. When you are on premises, scaling up and scaling down is not really that important. It's just like, so it's
Right.
so, but
Right.
there is a there is a benefit to have it, and it's not about this is a different topic, so we'll not get back to
Yeah, I'll
that.
come back to that later. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So we talked about your work. Do you have any projects, like in work, after work, which you, well, in work, which you work, no, that's the wrong sounded. Do you have any projects after work which you would be looking into or doing to increase your knowledge in data engineering? Do you work on something?
So, yes, of course. Apart from work, because I work, I use mostly GCP, that's the
Mm-hmm.
Google Cloud.
Yeah.
And personally, I want to see how I could, replicate those pipelines,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe on AWS or on Microsoft now privately.
That's
So
very.
that's where I get to know how those cloud
Mm-hmm.
services work. Yeah.
That's a very good idea. Very long time I worked on AWS and I didn't learn any other services. No GCP, no Azure. Like it's still,
Yes.
I would need to. I mean, I kind of would want to believe that I would know what they should do and how they should work,
Yeah.
but it's just
Of
like,
course.
but kind of like I don't think I would know their names. But yeah, I hear you. I hear. I mean, I do know a couple like BigQuery. It's the big one. I know that one for sure.
Yeah. So that's the ones I use at work. The whole BigQuery, data flow,
Mm,
stuff. Yeah. But I don't really know much about Azure, AWS. And I want to have a look into it and see what's all about.
got
Yeah.
it. Got it. So, if you would give an advice for the beginners, right, who just getting in, for someone who just starting their career as a data engineer, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice?
Top three. Hmm.
Top one.
Okay. No, let me see. I would really love to say something about that because I'm just putting myself in the shoes. When I was just quite lost
Mm-hmm.
in all that. Um, I think I would say so. I don't know how to, put it all together, but first of all, I would say find a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
find someone that's actually in the field, connect with them maybe on LinkedIn or bug them. Bug them. So find a mentor, and if you can't find one, um, uh, get a cloud service and learn about maybe just learn about how data is being used. Will I use the word used? How
To use the
how
services with the data, right?
yeah, how to probably do analytics
Mm-hmm.
with the data. Just either GCP, either AWS, either Microsoft. Learn that and see how you could learn that. Even if you don't understand it, just have like a brief overview of that. And so one, find a mentor, then get a cloud service and try to see if you can perfect on that. The third one, um, yeah, build projects. I I, I, I think now is when I start understanding all those YouTube videos that I do watch that they tell me build project. I think it's beginning to sink in now
Mm-hmm.
because I think project helps you build that confidence. I'll be honest with you. If you had, I think 4 months ago, I don't think I'll have the confidence to do this interview. I don't even know if I'm saying the right word, the right things, but I just know that okay, I love what I do. I just like it, and
Mm-hmm.
it was from the projects that I've been able to do, and every project comes with different tasks.
Mm-hmm.
I have to browse YouTube, do whatever it is to find a reason, find a solution, and from all those stuff, I've built confidence. I could probably discuss more about that. So yeah, find a mentor if you can't find one. Get a cloud service and perfect on it, and build projects. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Another question which I wanted to ask your opinion. So you yourself finished computer science. Now like finish also like like the data science. So why didn't you, if I may ask, like why didn't you stick with the computer science? Why didn't you become a developer, right? Like why didn't you just wrote the software? Like what's like, and now looking back, like wasn't interested into like
So I never liked programming.
oh really?
Why don't I like programming? I wasn't taught right. So, like I said, I did Oracle Java programming certification, and I got the certification because of just head knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We were taught the Python, but will I say, I don't want to say that's the fault of the trainer,
Mm-hmm.
because we weren't taught how to use this Python to build an application,
Mm-hmm.
get the whole design, build an application, deploy whatever it is. So just basically on programming, understanding variables, input,
Mm-hmm.
and all this stuff. So, and I think that's kind of, I didn't really get motivated. And of course, to get a job back in my country is a very difficult thing.
Okay.
And 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 I wasn't just I tried, well, so I wasn't really coming in terms of software development.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went with what I feel I could
Got it.
get a point.
So is it safe to say that like the data engineering doesn't really require a software engineering skills, or it's still, I mean, it helps for a fact, I know that for a fact, it helps me a lot, but like it doesn't really require, you can do a data engineering just like finishing some sort of like boot camp, learning the Python. I mean, you still need to learn
Yes.
like a Python, right? But the Python, you can agree, like it's not really that complicated of the language, right? Like it's
Not,
right, like if
yeah.
you have some, I even believe in schools they teach us kids Python these days, at least here in US they do. So you sort of already have half of the like bucket of the knowledge.
So yeah, so to answer your question, I'm sorry to cut you short anyway, but to
No, no,
answer
no.
your question, I don't think you need the whole software. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I even know most about software development. So I I feel you don't need the software engineering experience or the skill sets. The Thank God for this whole for the whole bootcamp that I did. It was basically Python. It was also, I think, yeah, sorry, I forgot something.
Mm-hmm.
GitHub, Git, SQL, Python, cloud services.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this four. So from Git, Python, SQL, and the cloud. So this was what the four topics, and I learned, and that was it. I don't know anything about software development. Now, in now I see, so for my now for my day-to-day activity, because the company is building, they are building a platform, or they are building an e-learning product.
Mm-hmm.
I now see, okay, I now see where the developer comes in. I now see where the data architect or whoever comes in. I now see where I come in. I now see my own duty. I don't have to, do much, or I don't have to come and start, building features or this kind of thing. My main duty is to make sure that, okay, whoever comes into into the platform, or whoever candidates that got onboarded, I capture as much details. I
Mm-hmm.
do the whole student performance or student engagement. I was even building I even built dashboards that we use weekly,
Mm-hmm.
that we present to understand, okay, how many users are on the platform, how many have done tasks, who are the highest performing users. So you see that my whole experience now is now data engineering analysts,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So I can now say I can now do both the graph. So
Yeah, this is how it usually is. You do data engineering, then you start answering questions, then you look into data science, and then you suddenly realize that you need to have the software engineering skills to continue.
Yeah, and I also forgot most of your colleagues, they don't really care how you got the data. They don't really care how the whole backend pipeline, SQL engineering, how whatever you did to get the data. I think you were the one that told me the last time we spoke. Just get the data. Just make sure you give them the data. If they ask, get it. So that's that. I think that was what I understood recently from probably the last couple of meetings we had, and I was doing a whole dashboard. They didn't really care how I got it or however it came from, but make sure it is accurate.
Yes.
Make sure it is accurate. It is presentable. I could explain it, and that's it.
Yeah. Exactly. That's fun. So how do you like how would you again getting like back into the like the people who just starting their career or looking into like getting into computer data engineering, like any of these fields, like how do you stay update, like how do you stay up to date with the rapidly changing technologies and tools, like, and also like right now everything AI data AI and everywhere is AI, but like how like
So, like, because in my field I have to, get to know about different pipelines in different industry. I I do research a lot. I research about other people's pipelines, how it was built, the challenges and all that. And through those researching, I kind of bump into articles, blogs, YouTube videos, podcasts, and all that. And as I'm doing this, I'm learning. So I think almost every week or every 3 days I have something new, and I write it down, and I just go back to my notebook and start thinking of where does this come from, what's it about, write it down because I have a lot of questions that I'll ask you personally after this whole interview.
okay.
So yeah, newsletters, YouTube, Medium, GitHub. Yeah, most pipelines and samples, all that, they're all on GitHub. So try to see what's all about, and also documentation. So yeah, I forgot that. That's very, 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 very important. Most of the issues or challenges I do have, I might spend hours trying to figure it out, not knowing that I should just go to the cloud service documentation to see how it's been done and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
I hear you. So for the future aspirations, I mean, if I understood correctly, and please like correct me if I am wrong, so what you're doing to this day is majority of your job is related to creating sort of like simulations for the data engineers to practice and basically, or like for the companies to do the onboarding and other things. At the same time, you also actually doing the actual data engineering, but to pulling this analytical reports and other things for the engagement. But this is this analytical part is sort of like a smaller part of your job which you do, right? Like the bigger part is the simulation creations, correct?
Yeah.
So in 5 years from now, which would you want to continue doing more or actually do more? Do you want to, like create more complicated simulations, or you actually want to go and do the data engineering?
Hmm. 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 That's a very interesting question, honestly.
It's,
Thinking about that.
I mean, look, 5 years is a long time. We don't know what will happen in
Yeah.
5 years, right?
So let me just say 2 or 3 years. So from my experience building pipelines, I've just seen that they're all the same. Like they're mostly the same thing, probably different kind of data or different transformation, and sometimes it gets boring sometimes.
Of course.
doing the same thing with you understand. So for me, in the next couple, I think I would want to go into the whole analytical aspect of it because that way, um, I don't know, honestly.
No, this is look
But
what you're saying is very, I think, and what I see is a very logical and traditional transition. You start with data engineering, you pulling data from for someone else, you're helping answer these questions for someone else. Eventually, you yourself starts answering the question while still continuing pulling the data, but now for some reason you're not called a data engineer anymore, you're called data analyst, right? And then eventually at some point you're getting into a position where you either continue like analyzing the data and continue like finding the errors, or you say like, look, the way how we're pulling data is not efficient and we need to improve our processes, right? So then sort of like you start as a data engineer, you go into data analytics, and then you either go further or you again get back into data engineer, but then you can answer the questions like about sort of like how do you deal the things and other things like that, or how do you like do with something. So yeah, we'll see.
we'll, we'll see.
Yeah.
But like okay, so I get something now that you just said. Um, Sometimes maybe they want to find an other way to kind of make the pipeline maybe a bit more robust or kind of scale it and all that. That's why I get so that's another discussion. That's most of everything I do. I want to push it to the file to also to the cloud. So I would easily come back and make some footworks and everything is working and um, going forward and all that. But yeah, I just love the fact that whatever I do, I want I'm making an impact to in the company with their data. They can see the usefulness of the data on the platform. That's one. Secondly,
And I lost again you with the word secondly. Secondly,
yeah, yeah. Can you still hear me now?
so I can hear you now, all good. So I heard the first one and then you started secondly and then I lost you.
Okay, so secondly, the pipeline simulations that I build them. I'm kind of losing you on this side, but I want to confirm if you're still hearing me.
All good, go for it.
Okay, so the second one is the pipelines that I build. I'm happy building them because I put myself in their shoes. I've basically I don't really know much about pipeline. I've never built a pipeline before, but now I'm kind of researching pipelines almost every week to for that average Joe to see, okay, this is what it's all about. This whole pipeline, this is what it's all about. You can do this. It's not that difficult. It's not that complex. Do this, do this, do this, do that. You're making sense of it. So the fact that I'm doing that for me is I'm happy. Is a passion. Then secondly, the companies making use of their data. They're seeing the real world results and all that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I guess like going to the closer to the end, I think like what trends in data engineering are the most excited, like you are the most excited about, and how you're preparing to adapt to these changes?
Okay. Let me answer this question. Okay, so someone that is very, will I use the word futuristic or yeah, I think so. So I want to get to that. So about data, I'm trying to find the right way to answer this question. So I don't sound too nerdy or too
Come
it's
on,
not
we
possible.
nerdy
Yeah.
is fine here. The more nerdy
Oh
you
yeah,
are, the
yeah.
better it is.
Of course, family fine, but I'm just trying. Okay. So I have this interest in the whole, you know, um, Honestly, okay, let me just say out how high is this in my mind. Data, real world data. I feel I just I have a feeling that probably in the future everything will be AI. Why would I use the word everything will be AI? Honestly, I don't know how to answer this question. I have a lot of answers, but I don't know the right ones to pick. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I don't know if I should skip it or something.
Okay. So basically, if I understood correctly, you think that in the future everything will be AI, and is it scary or is it not scary?
To me, it's fun. To me, I love it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, okay. So if a friend, okay, so let me just see how it is in my head. So I asked a friend that I've just been thinking about something that what if we get to a future whereby, so for example, um, I lost a dear one,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I can't go back to probably ask some information or get some details from this person because of course he's passed or she's passed.
Mm-hmm.
But I have, will I use the word a humanoid or a
Mm-hmm.
robotics or
Mm-hmm.
whatever that has kind of the whole, like, okay, maybe like it's not transferred consciousness,
Yeah.
transferred t- transferred
I'm.
information from the
Mm-hmm.
brain or whatever it is to this device, or to this, I don't use the word device,
Mm-hmm.
to this AI or whatever it is. So I could talk to this talk this AI as if I'm talking to that body. So I want this and I get it. I want this, I get it. How can I do this? How can I talk, like, assuming it was my parents that's advising me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my kind of thought. So we could get to a point in the future where, so I also follow these climates,
Mm-hmm.
Mars moving to the whole space kind of stuff. so could we get to a point whereby humans will have an AI agent that
Mm-hmm.
kind of think and act or do like we are, or we can think and they know what we're thinking about.
Okay.
So I feel like data could get, and at the end of the whole thing, it still boils down to data.
Okay. Okay.
What we humans emit, the informations we emit, and everything, and it's being useful to our own, ensuring that the whole ethical standard, rules and regulations, everything are being followed and all this stuff. Yeah, yes. What are thoughts anyway?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, that's. I mean, let's see what the future
What
will
are thoughts?
hold, right? So
Anyway, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, Godson, thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you for answering all my questions. It was really nice having you. And
Okay. Thanks so much. I kind of appreciate it because I'm surprised I was even able to remember so many things or even express myself this much. But I love it, and I wish everyone listening, I believe, if you're in data engineering or not, but it's a very interesting field. Yeah, I can't wait to have you over.